Hi, good afternoon. My name is Lisa Dublin. I'm a life coach and a speaking coach. And today we are having a strategy session. I have a couple points I want to talk about as I do my 31-day challenge here on YouTube. So do a couple things for me. Make sure you like this video, make sure you share it. Make sure you subscribe to the Basement Chronicles channel. This is day 5. It's a strategy session. So, are you ready? I'm actually going to tell you the point that I want to discuss to kind of entice you to stay with me for the whole half hour today, okay? We are going to talk about, how to win. A couple strategies that I've developed and seen and spoken to people, perhaps even deployed in my own life, career, that kind of thing. Here are the 4 strategies that we are going to discuss today. And you get to decide whether you want to stay around and to hear all of them. Number 1 is to play the long game. And I'm going to go into each one of them. Number 2 is to keep your end in mind, not theirs. And I have a wonderful story of how, I discovered that little truth of life that you need to keep your end in mind, not anybody else's, because they might not be going where you are on what path you might be headed for. Number 3, and I have a video to show you guys. It's called Fight Snakes Like Eagles. Okay, I'm not talking about like people, whatever. Well, perhaps I am, but it really is to recognize that your strength is in being the best of who you are. That is how you really are able to fight life's battles from a position of strength. So, point number 3 is to fight snakes like eagles. You are the eagle, and that is how you fight a snake. You don't fight a snake like a snake because you're going to lose, because that's not who you are. If you fight a snake like an eagle, then you are guaranteed to win. And point number 4, you guys, is to start with who you are. Not every suit of armor will fit you. And you know what is so apt in that really last point is, if you remember the story of David and Saul in the Bible, and when David put on that suit of armor, he's like, this doesn't fit me. This is not how I fight. This is not for me. And he went and he got his smooth stones in his little pouch, and that is how he slayed the giant. So, are you sticking around? Are you going to stay here and listen to these little nuggets of wisdom? Because what I've decided to do in this strategy session, don't forget to like, subscribe, all of the things, you guys, okay? What I've decided to do in this strategy 31-day challenge is every 5 days, we are going to have a strategy session. So let's get into the war room, everybody, and let's talk about point number 1. Sometimes the number 1 is play the long game. Okay, so let's put that in the chat. And if you're listening to me, please say hi, say hello, let me know that you're listening. It would be nice. Before I continue, I get into these points, I have something to show you. I'm so excited and so proud of myself. Okay, so you guys have been seeing like the QR codes all over, and I saw it. I was like, oh, that's so cool. I love tech, and just trying to get it all together. So I actually got my QR codes, and I wanted to let's see if they work today. So I want you to look at this, right? So I have this new program coming up called Find Your Fire. Okay, and it is going to teach you how to really turn your voice into a career. That if you are that person who, for whatever way that you speak, maybe a keynote speaker, maybe you're a podcaster, maybe you're somebody who's a panelist, or maybe you do trainings and workshops. That one is coming up a lot in my consultations. Maybe you might be the person who has expert opinion on any matter. If that is you, you want to just scan this QR code. If you're watching on your computer, then you scan it with your phone and go book a fire starter complimentary call with me. You guys see how it's kind of like shining. I'm so proud of myself for getting this together, because you kind of had to keep up with the times. That's the one thing that I teach in my Speak with Confidence course. Not to be afraid of the tech at all. Not to be afraid. Go find out about it. Go find out how to do it, experiment, and voila, you have, stuff like this. Let me take this off the screen. I have a couple others I will share as we go along. Let's go back to point number 1. Play the long game. Remember, if you're just joining me, my name is Lisa Dublin. This is your strategy session for how to win in life. When you think of that point, play the long game, it tells you to think ahead before you act, before you speak, before you react, before you, take any kind of action. Think of what the future will be. Think of, why should I do this now? As in, if I don't do it now, what will be the result later on? I'm always kind of thinking a couple years ahead, thinking of the legacy that I want to build, thinking of the kind of business, family, person I want to be. And I let that guide, especially my reactions now, because sometimes it can be very difficult dealing with people and finding yourself in different situations. But if you are playing the long game, you realize that, hey, the kind of action that I'm taking now, okay, so I mightn't like what somebody does, but let me see where this will lead. Let me see how I can work with them. Because you know what? When I really think about where I'm going, that person might be pivotal in the future. That is what I mean by playing the long game. Another point where that is concerned is this, you guys. If I'm playing the long game and I am reverse engineering life and reverse engineering every point, I'm not going to be rushing. You build a deep foundation because the long game says, I'm going far. I'm going higher, I'm going bigger. Therefore, let me take my time right now and build that foundation nice and deep and solidly so that it can stand on what I want to build. Does that make sense? So think, pace yourself. Don't go after every shiny object. Because if I'm playing the long game and I look ahead and I'm thinking, okay, I want to be this kind of person, I want to have this, I want that for my family, what then do I now need to do right now, today, for me to look into the future and to be like, this is what is going to get me there? So that is strategy number one. Play the long game. That goes with relationships to be, when you really think about it, perhaps that is why God says in 1 Corinthians 13 to love is long suffering. When you really think about it, that is strategy right there. To be long suffering in relationships in particular. I'm not saying take abuse, don't get me wrong. Oh gosh, no. Okay. But I'm talking about like settling in for the long haul. Like if you're going to be in my life for a long time, so we need to set boundaries now so we don't have to do it later. Like we need to settle these things that might not be going right because the long game is you and I are going to be together as friends, maybe as the partner, whatever. If you are out there looking, so it could be that kind of thing. So that is point number one. Play the long game in life. Sit back and be like, hey, if I do this now, in a couple years, this will be the result. So I won't do it now. If I react this way at work, that's a good one. If I react this way at work, in a couple years, that would not serve me right. So let me find another way to solve this problem now. Or, for example, playing the long game even at work is, if I take on this responsibility now, this is going to make me this is going to improve my credibility. This is going to help me to seem, like I know what I'm doing. So I'm going to take it on. Let people mumble and grumble, but I'm playing the long game. I'm eyeing the CEO position, even though I'm just in the front desk today. Therefore, I'm going to take certain moves for me to ensure that I'm seen, that I have credibility. I have people in my corner who can attest to what I do. So play the long game. Point number two, keep the end in mind. Keep your end in mind, not theirs. I want to tell you a story, as I always do and I teach my students to do in my speaking programs. By the way, it's perhaps a good time to ask you whether, do you think you have speaking as a career path? Maybe you want to be doing what you see me doing now. Addressing people, advertising your services, having a good time doing what you're called to do. Maybe that's you right now. If that is you, scan that code, take this test. It's a simple test. It's less than 2 minutes, I promise. And it will help you decide what kind of speaker you are. Okay, you see my little. Do you like it? Tell me whether you like it or not. I'm just so amazed at the technology and being able to handle all of these little things and make it easier for people to, to reach me, reach my services. That's what it's about. And this did not take very long. So if you are interested in finding out whether speaking isn't your career, whether that is a career path for you as a side hustle, even, or something that you can turn into a business, then please take this test. Scan that code, go to the test, take it, and you're going to get the results, and let me know what they are. Okay, so let me remove this off and let's go to our second point. Keep your end in mind, not theirs. The story that I want to tell you is about the time that I was driving here in Edmonton. And I found I was on a line of in traffic seemed to be stalled, and I was like, why is everybody going that way? Why is there traffic at this point? Because there wasn't usually traffic at that point on that lane. Okay, then I started seeing people, one or two people actually indicating right, coming out of the lineup and then going into the next lane. And so I realized like the lane that I was on was actually going left when I needed to go straight. But what happened is that that lane was so backed up that it was spilling into the middle lane where I was supposed to be. You know what I'm talking about? So if you're going left and that lane is filled up, maybe I don't have the language for it, forgive me, but I'm trying my best here. But basically, I was not on the lane that I was supposed to be. I just was following the traffic because that's what everybody else was doing. When I indicated right and moved to the next lane, that lane was clear. So everybody was going left, and that is why they were there. And if I had not kind of decided for myself where I want to be going, I needed to go in a different direction, I would have been following them to their path. And how many times do we let people's excitement, ebullience, what else? People's own conception of where they are going influence and direct where we are, well, where we end up. You end up where somebody else wants you to be or where somebody else themselves is going, instead of taking the time to see what your own direction is and to realize, are you just following the crowd, or are you charting the course that is going to lead you to your end, not somebody else's? And when I came out of that line and I realized, wait a minute, my path had been clear all this time. But because I was so focused on doing what everybody else was doing, I mean, obviously I was following the rules of traffic, don't get me wrong. But because I was so focused on that, I almost missed the opportunity to just inch into my own lane and to get to my destination. Point number 2, my audience today is keep your end in mind, not theirs. So don't forget to like and share this video. Put your comments as well. I'd love to hear what you think of what you're hearing, and whether even as I speak, you are able to relate this point number 2, to keep your end in mind, not other people's, whether you can relate that point to what you are doing in your life right now. Does that make sense? Let's move on to point number 3. I love, 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 love this point. In fact, well, here's what I'm going to do, you guys. I actually have a poem called Fight Like a Wife. Okay. And where I speak about this phenomenon. So if you are here on YouTube, because this channel is only on YouTube, this 31-day channel, it challenge is only on YouTube. I actually have another YouTube channel where I have just my poetry. Okay. And I've got a poem in there called Fight Like a Wife. So if you go to find my, that channel, Lisa M. Dublin, or YouTube, I probably should find it. That's what I probably should do. If you find that channel, you can see that poem there where I speak about how you fight like a wife. Like you don't fight the snakes where they are. So what I want to do right now is to play a 1-minute video, 1 minute, where I first heard that concept of how eagles fight snakes. In this uh in this situation, I want you to think about yourself and the battles that you are going through. You are the eagle, and we want to look at the weapons formed against us, your enemies, your adversaries, maybe a situation at work with a boss. Look at them as a snake. And it mightn't be that perhaps they are cunning, or it could be that they are. Frankly, that's what we people are sometimes, right? It could be that. So I'm going to share this, and then we're going to come back. Let me see if I can do that right now. Um, ugh. Okay, there we go. Um, yes, I'm gonna press play over here, and let's see if you can
Eagles
hear.
don't fight snakes around. The way an eagle attacks the snake is it an eagle understands that if you fight the snake on the ground, the snake will always win because the snake is comfortable on the ground. The eagle will take the snake out of its comfortable place, throw it in the air. The snake has no stamina. The snake has
There's no
no ground,
route.
and the eagle will throw the snake in the air. The snake cannot fight back and grab it again because in the sky, the snake is weak, useless, and vulnerable. When you take prayer, when you take your problem into the prayer realm, you're literally taking that snake into the air. And that's what happens when you pray and fast. You're literally taking those issues into a spirit realm where you will have upper hand through Jesus, through the Lord, by breaking those strongholds. You might not see the visible results right away, but those things shift in the realm of the spirit.
All right, I'm gonna play it again, okay? And I'm going to relate it not just to spiritual matters. You watch me do this, okay? Because this has so much. This has so much what value just for dealing with all sorts of problems in life. Are you ready? It's just a minute. I think we can listen again, okay? We have a bit of time. Let's
Eagles don't fight snakes on the ground. The way an eagle attacks the snake is it an eagle understands that if you fight the snake on the ground, the snake will always win because the snake is comfortable on the ground. The eagle will take the snake out of its comfortable place, throw it in the air. The snake has no stamina. The snake has no ground, and the eagle will throw the snake in the air. The snake cannot fight back and grab it again because in the sky, the snake is weak, useless, and vulnerable. When you take prayer, when you take your problem into the prayer realm, you're literally taking that snake into the air. And that's what happens when you pray and fast. You're literally taking those issues into a spirit realm where you will have upper hand through Jesus, through the Lord, by breaking those strongholds. You might not see the visible results right away, but those things shift in the realm of the spirit.
All right. Okay. Let me stop sharing now and come back and talk about it. Y'all, let me tell you that. You know how when you come upon things that just literally shift your mindset? This is one of them. That if you think of, we'll take it spiritual, we'll take it professional, we'll take it personal. Are you ready? Okay. So what about having problems and things are going on and we like to fight back? We like to replace tit for tat. One example of using a spiritual way, a spiritual method to fight a spiritual battle is not to replace the evil with evil. It is to replace it. Love is a spiritual concept. Love takes it out of what people would have thought it would have been, and it puts that snake in a place where it has nothing for it to respond to, whereas it would have expected hate in a situation where you were wronged. If you replace it with forgiveness as opposed to fighting back, that snake has no power because there's nothing to fight against. And that's the kinds of some of the ways that we fight. I applied that concept. When I did that poem about fight like a wife, I applied that concept to like a wife who perhaps was struggling with a husband who was adulterous, a husband who had other women. And the common thing that we would do as wives is like, this is my man, I'm gonna fight you. No, that's fighting the snake on the ground, accustomed to the muck, accustomed to being on the ground, on the belly. No, take it up in prayer, take it in the air. That's where you are the eagle. That's where you have strategies that the earthly realm cannot touch. Okay, you take it, for example, let's take it and go explore this. This is, the guy is Vlad Hungrian. Just type in the eagle and the snake and put in Vlad, VLAD, and it will come up. This is a TikTok video that I showed. Anyway, we have to watch our time, okay? So let's apply that old same concept of fight the snake like an eagle. Apply that concept to when you are in a professional setting and somebody's giving you trouble. Professional setting, and maybe in business, and people are competing with you. I literally heard somebody who I admire. She's a fellow Saint Lucian who has at this point, her business is global. One day I heard her say, the landscape for her business has changed. And so what she realized that she had to do was to add to it elements that other people could not copy. Things that were so deeply her and particular to how she did life, that it branded the business and took it in a direction that other people could not follow. That is an eagle fighting like an eagle. Going up, and they say that the eagle goes so high that if there are any crows on its back, the higher the eagle goes, it's the more that the crows cannot breathe. And so they might be nitpicking at the back of the eagle, whatever, but that eagle keeps on rising, keeps on going into realms that of excellence, realms of doubling down on why you do what you do, as opposed to getting into the weeds with people's emotions and personalities. No, stay on message, stay on who you are, stay on why you're doing that. That is how you fight like an eagle. And I'm not saying that you're not, like, you bury your head in the sand. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is that where your power is when you take the fight into a realm that the snake cannot enter. And on that note, everybody should be reading The Art of War. Read The Art of War. It teaches you how to fight, because many times it's where you are strong that the snake is weak. Snake cannot fly. So, in other words, where are your strengths that are in direct opposition to the weaknesses of the snake? Take it out there. Like, I've practiced that so much. I've had to, having a business and just running classes and that kind. You absolutely have to know, um, be very strategic in how you fight and how you keep your group together, that kind of thing. Okay, so the third point is fight snakes like eagles. Here's the next point and the last one, and we're going to end. Before I do, however, can I just show you this little key? Oh, geez, y'all, this is the day of QR codes. So if you're listening to this, right, I'm also a life coach, and you know I do life coaching and speaking coaching. So I have obviously my Find Your Fire program. Let me put that up. So that is the program that is beginning in July that will teach you how to turn your voice into a career. It will teach you how to build a speaking business under and around your 9 to 5. And if that is the joy that you want, to get on stage and to feel that sense of fulfillment that I have done something, that I made an impact and I made income. If that is what you want to do, get in touch. Take this. This is to book a complimentary call with me, and I can tell you more about the program. Because I think a couple things. You want to make an impact and make an income. Speaking is serving. I'm serving right now. I'm serving, and I feel so good to be in this 31-day YouTube challenge. Like, this is home for me, talking about these things. But if this is you and you want your own platform and you're like, I could do that, but I don't know how, take this scan this code and set up a consultation with me. You and I can chop it up. I can tell you more about the program, or you can scan it and send it to somebody and say, hey, sign up. You love speaking. You're always in my ear. You need to have a place to say something. Go have a consultation with Lisa. She's going to help you to become a paid speaker. That is the promise of the program, to help you to move from just speaking and being called upon to do this and that, to actually getting paid to speak. But I'm not digressing, just putting things in certain things as I go along. The last point. So, just to recap our 3 points so far: play the long game. This is a strategy session, you guys. Number 2, Keep your end in mind, not theirs. Number three, fight snakes like eagles. Go where the snake cannot follow, where the snake has no power. That's how you do it. And lastly, start with who you are. What do I mean by that? Know yourself. Know yourself. Know what works for you. Take the time to spend some time with you to get to know who you are and what makes you tick, what makes you come alive. Get to know what your boundaries are. And you know what? Honor those. Don't be going after every shiny object and everything that people say because that's what you want to do. Start with who you are. And when you know who you are, you have a sense of where you want to go. And if that's the case, no matter what comes at you, no matter what good thing comes at you, or everything good is not for you, everything great is not for you. I had a great example of it when I was doing the pilot program for Find Your Fire. Okay. I got together beautiful speakers. If you hear them speak, these people, like you just want to be like, yeah, okay, go ahead, you know. But here's the beauty of them knowing who they were. Even though they have the gift of the gab, I also discovered it's not enough to become a paid speaker to just be able to speak. A couple things have to be in place. You have to want it. It has to be part of your plan. So that was the very first thing that I pulled together some people who graciously said yes, excitedly said yes. I'm so happy that people came in and they found their own fires, some of which were not for speaking, even though they have the gift of speaking. But they knew themselves. And finally, we got to the point where it got very intense, and you literally had to make the choice. You know, when you come to that road and there's a fork in the road. We got to that point, and they literally had to decide, and bravely so, confidently so, this is not for me, because this is not the path that I want to take. Because to become a paid speaker, you have to develop your speaker identity, and you also have to develop your entrepreneurial identity. You have to get out there. If a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to see, did the tree really fall? Well, kindly, yes, it fell. In the speaking world, no, it did not fall because nobody was there to capture it. Okay? And that's a stark reality that if there's no proof of what you do, it didn't happen. For a speaker, speakers speak. The way you move from getting one gig to the next is to have proof. So we teach the students in Find Your Fire to go out and get the record of what you did. Get the testimonials of what you did. People want to see you in living color, want to hear your voice and see your body moving on stage. Yes, speakers speak. And so at that point, they realize even though I've got the speaker identity, I don't have the entrepreneurial. So some people had to drop off. It was also not the right time for other people in terms of what was going on in life. So, in other words, when you start with who you are not going to be pulled in by any shiny object that does not serve your purposes at that point. And if you know that, you save yourself a lot of headache. You save yourself a lot of money as well. You save yourself a lot of time by being very deeply authentic. I want to leave you with one point today about starting with who you are and how that authenticity literally opens doors for you and shuts others. Did y'all heard that? It opens some doors, but it shuts others because this is not who you are. One of my favorite, let me unmute. Okay, let me make sure my mic is working for this one. He says, when you see somebody who has the it factor, it's usually because that person is wholly comfortable, fully comfortable with who they are. When you see somebody who has the it factor, it's usually because they are fully comfortable with who they are. Is that you today? If that is not you, that's a great place for you to head for. When you're deeply comfortable with who you are, you go into sessions from who you are, not because of it. You go into different environments and you bring your signature coordinates to bear and to be a filter through which you see the world. And that creates interest because nobody has the same coordinates as you do. For example, I'm from the Caribbean, I'm Black, I'm female, I'm a poet, I'm a coach. My coordinates are different, and I bring that to bear on every speaking situation, that kind of thing. Anyway, we are out of time, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'll put up what we'll be doing tomorrow. I actually have it mapped out today, but I'll put it up so you can check. And please like and subscribe to this video. If you don't do that, you won't know. Okay, so you also have to enable notifications as well. So please don't forget to do that. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you tomorrow as we continue to day 6 of the 31-day challenge. Bye, everyone.